Welcome to the 10-Minute Tuesday Show. We're talking about Exodus 20, the 10 Commandments, the whole concept of what the instructions mean, the whole rethinking of the 10 Commandments, because we have in our modern world a trash compactor of which these have been dumped into because grace has superseded law, which is totally erroneous. And if you look into the context of what Paul was talking about, he would even come here and tell us that you guys have got it all wrong. Because if you look in Acts 25, he said, I didn't do anything against the law, against the temple, or against the Romans. So Paul even kept the law, honored the law, and had a heart for the law, because those are instructions of the Father. We're not worshiping the law. We are honoring what Yehovah has given us as keys to success on this earth. He's given us blessings through his instructions. If we do this, this is the outcome. If we don't do this, this is the outcome. So it's a choice to either be prosperous or to find our way into calamity. Some could say, hey, God rains his blessings on the just and the unjust. And he does. I cannot explain that. But however, I can explain this. We are in a dress rehearsal for the next life. And he's given us instructions for this life. So do you think that those instructions and how well we honor them could be a test for the next life to come? I do not know. But he's given us explicit instructions all throughout the scriptures. And in Exodus 20, I love, and we keep opening up this ways. It says, and then Yehovah spoke all these words, saying, I am Yehovah Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. I did all these things. Remember last week, first episode, we talked about how jealous he is about who he is. I was the one that brought you out of Egypt. And let's jump over to Psalms 46. Come, behold the works of Yehovah, who has wrought desolation in the earth. He makes wars to cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariots with fire. Cease striving and know that I am Yehovah. This is what he's trying to convey in Exodus 20. It's like, do you guys not remember who I am? And David wrote those Psalms years later, but this is the essence of what he's trying to convey. Then Yehovah spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. I caused nations to bow. I broke their swords. I shattered their chariots, lit them on fire. You shall have no other gods besides me, and you shall not make for yourself an idol. You shall have no other gods in my face. We talked about that last week. That was the first commandment. Second commandment we're going to discuss today is you shall not craft for yourself an idol or any likeness of what is in heaven above, in the earth beneath, or in the waters under the earth. For I am the Lord your God. He has to remind them again who he is and who family they are now a part of. I am Yehovah Elohim. I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children, on the third and fourth generations who hate me. To those who despise my instructions, but showing loving kindness to the 1,000, to those who love me and keep my commandments. See, We're not to set up anything in his face, and we're not to put anything that makes our face turn from him. That was the point of creating these images. But people could argue, hey, the tabernacle has images inside of them. Art is different than idolatry. The two are different. In the Talmud, some of the radical, extreme views of Judaism in art would say that they were not even allowed to paint faces. They could only paint bodies or draw bodies, but never could do faces. Because somehow the face is tied with the image of Yehovah. And if we try to do faces, then we are making an idol. But artwork is different. Yehovah wants us to celebrate art, be creative, be crafty, but don't let our crafts become our gods. Be careful not to let your vocations become your God. Be careful not to let your desires become your God and take your eyes off of him and turn them over here. See, that's the whole point. Don't put anything in my face, and don't create anything that would cause your face to turn from me. That is the whole essence of the second commandment. It's Pesel is creating an image. We have the graven images, and it has to do with creating something that would become a god of a divinity or something of worship. It's not carving a horse out of a piece of wood and setting it on the side, or a manger scene, and you're having little baby Jesus, and then Joseph, Mary, Yoda, some G.I. Joe characters. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about creating a deity that, and the commandment number 1, don't put anything in my face, and don't create a graven image that would cause your face to turn away from me. Keep contact. Keep the stream of communication. Don't put anything in the way, and don't get diverted, and don't lose your focus. That is the reason for the second commandment. It is so simple, but we complicate things. We convolute things because in our orthodoxy and human traditions, we've tried to become something that it's not. It is very simple. Don't put anything in my face, and don't cause anything to stand in the way of our communication. Don't get diverted. Don't create a roadblock. Simple. Tune in next week for the third instruction. See, God wants to bless us. God wants to keep us. God wants to make his face shine upon us. God wants to be gracious unto us and give us peace. But we have to position ourselves into this blessing. It's not an all-end-all fitting. We have to honor his words in order to absorb those blessings, because he's not going to bless anything he's cursed. He's not going to reward anything that is punishable, that's not justice. That would go against the contrary. That would be completely unheard of in his nature. His deity would be compromised and in question if he became unjust. But we know that that is not the case. So we have blessings and we have curses. We have justice and righteousness. And that is the whole point of these commandments, is to live into this thing, to love God. That is the purpose of all of these first 5 or 6 commandments, is to love God, to honor him, Don't put anything in his face, and don't put anything in your face that would cause you to divert your attention, because he loves us and he knows the blessings in store. But if we turn over to the side, the problems that are created when we divert our attention. So we're saying, hey, don't put anything in my face and don't turn your eyes off of me, because I want to bless you. I want to show you. I want you to grow, because there is a kingdom. There is a bigger world out there than what you can see. And I am Yehovah that's brought you out of Egypt, brought you out of the house of bondage. Hear my instructions. Learn them, live them, and be blessed.